We think differently.
Thank you very much. Good morning to everyone, Excellencies, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. I would start by thanking our co-organizer, the Swiss UMEF University here, Dr. Sengel, our young compatriots, and the Chancellor of this university and his colleagues for organizing this. And I also would like to warmly welcome our guests, honorable keynote speakers here in the front, Excellencies, colleagues representing the diversity of Geneva's diplomatic, think tank and academic community. As many of you are aware that this symposium and the commemoration of the late Commander Ahmad Massoud, national hero of Afghanistan, and its struggle for liberty, social justice and peace was planned months before the disastrous event which transpired, the Taliban's onslaught on the major cities and the fall of Kabul on 15th of August. While the real situation in Afghanistan at this moment could be described into the darkness, not out of darkness. But the title suggests still, if you look at your programs, out of the darkness. And we decided to remain optimistic and do not discount all the achievements of the past 20 years in all areas of education, rights, and the liberties, and to keep our faith in millions who have not chosen the Taliban, and the Taliban have been imposed on. If you look into your telephones and look at the survey of last 2019 Asia Society survey in Afghanistan, Asia Foundation, it tells you that 85.1% of Afghan people would have not chosen, if they have a free will, the Taliban. That's there. So it means that this has been imposed on them. And we have that large group of Afghans still that they will resist. This is the resistance of the younger generation of men and women in the country and across the world. So we just added a question mark at the end of out of darkness, question mark. Afghanistan's unfinished transition. And to keep the second one, which is about the unfinished transition. So this morning we have an excellent group of keynote speakers and the panel members from all walks of politics, economics, diplomacy, journalism, UN and academia to discuss the themes of our today's symposium, and also to remember the lives and the struggles of Commander Massoud, our national hero, and his struggle for liberty, rights, and well-being of the Afghan people. I will not take more of your time because I will be speaking in the second panel. I will straightforward give it back to our next and main speaker. I think it's in our list. I'll just give it back to you so you can invite Mr. Massoud. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. In the valleys of Ansher and Andarab and all over the world, people are calling and crying, men and women, that this transition is not finished and we are not going to let this time to return to the floor zero of Afghanistan's history again. And I think I will focus my discussion today on this unfinished transition. In the history of Afghanistan, unfortunately, every time there is a change, that change comes and makes the fundamentals of a state upside down. Again, this is a time that with the help of international community, we should prevent a drastic and fundamental change to whatever we all together have achieved in the past 20 years. I think the testimony of this is manifold, and one small piece of that is today in our gathering, that we have a group of experts, friends of Afghanistan, former diplomats, the brother of our national hero, Ambassador Ahmad, Massoud, and everyone who knows about Afghanistan to tell you that what you see in the media right now, a group of people who have been imposed on us, is not representative of Afghanistan. That is not the representation of my Afghanistan, the Afghanistan that I was born and raised and educated myself in the past 20 years. Is there still hope? Of course there is, because that's the previous speakers mentioned. It's not about that piece of land that they are controlling. It's about the people and the changes in the people. So we keep our hope, we keep our aspiration, and we keep the fundamentals of a system on base of which you can create different governments. Of course, we had fundamental differences on the system of government in Afghanistan. There was a huge constituency since 2002, 2004 up to now, demanding a more decentralized Afghanistan. An Afghanistan where people will have the real power, where accountability will go down to the villages of Afghanistan, where the leaders should be accountable and responsible to their people, not to one person. And a republic should not be reduced and diminished to 3 people that when they flew out of the country, the republic could also evaporate with it. That's not the case in Afghanistan, and that won't be the case in Afghanistan. I think the system of Afghanistan, the republic in Afghanistan will stay. And that is the fundamentals that we will keep. And that's why the world has been very clear that there is no way that an emirate of Afghanistan will be recognized in whatever manner. Yes, as Afghans, we have been disappointed, very disappointed. We have been told, and many of you have heard, in the past 2 years, when the narrative changed, that there is no military solution to the conflict in Afghanistan. But unfortunately, what we see is a military solution. What is continuing in northern Afghanistan is imposition of a military solution. We have been told that the cities will not be attacked. All of this came from really great diplomats and from diplomatic venues. We have been told that the question of Afghanistan will be solved behind the tables in the Lux hotels in the Middle East. But that's not the case that we see. We have also been told that nothing is decided until everything is decided. But we see some things are going to be decided with the battles of the gun. But again, the history of Afghanistan, and to that matter, many countries, here in Switzerland, in France, in Germany, all over Europe and around the world, we have seen that nowhere the fate of a nation could be decided with the battle of the gun. Maybe temporarily. Maybe temporarily. There could be a Vichy government of France in some point, but I think the people will get back and they will hold their liberty and their freedom and equality and social justice. And I think that's the idea among our people, especially at the diplomatic community, was that the anniversaries of the week of martyrdoms, which we had and still hope to have this week in September, in the commemoration of the all martyrs of Afghanistan's jihad and resistance, from late President Professor Burhanuddin Rabbani to great Ahmad Shah Massoud, and to many other countless nameless and faceless soldiers who resisted different kinds of tyranny, different kinds of suppressions in Afghanistan. So we thought that we move these celebrations, these commemorations, from a simple event of people gathering and having some snacks, into academic debates, into the narratives of what these people represent. They represented a modern Islam, they represented social justice, they represented an Afghanistan which, in the words of great Ahmad Shah Massoud, he said, a country based on social justice and in peace with itself and its neighborhood. In the future of Afghanistan is an Afghanistan in peace within itself, within its diverse communities. A system where each community of Afghanistan will have a say in their government, in their affairs. And I think a great, great example of that is the country that we are sitting right now, Switzerland. Different cantons, different cultures, different languages, respected and making a very strong and great nation. Very proud of their history, very proud of their flag, and that's an identity for them. Meanwhile, a neutral country, a country which is economically integrated in everything Europe, but still is independent, still keeps its identity, even its money. I know there are many other reasons that keep their money, but still, that's a country that even great Ahmad Massoud in the last days, he really desired, he actually in an interview with La Figurero, I think, the newspaper, he mentioned that we have to look into the Swiss way of governance for future of Afghanistan. I think the Afghans have been betrayed, yes, understand. The international politics, the geopolitics of the region is in flux, but one thing is constant, and that is the geography of Afghanistan. Its valleys and its mountains, and the second thing is its people. I think these constant over the centuries have shown two things. One, that autocracy, repression of any kind of manifestation will not be tolerated in that country. And you can never ever, with all the great powers or forces, can create a repressive regime by which you can bring everyone under your control. I think it defies the history and it defies the geography of it. And the second thing is, you cannot create a country who can take side in the international military or political affairs around it. Afghanistan has to respect its neutrality vis-a-vis the region, politically and militarily, but also has to stay connected economically with everyone in the world. We should not have, and we cannot afford balance of power vis-a-vis one power or the other. You know, there was a great discussion about this in our previous panel. The interest of the region. I think the best concept for Afghanistan would be a balance of interest of the region. Our region has to see the balance of their interests in Afghanistan, and we have to be able, all together, to live in peace, prosperity, liberty, and a decentralized system. And I think with this, I will end my today's speech, and I'll tell you that there is lots of hope in Afghanistan. I think Afghanistan could easily change to the great roundabout of Central Asia, South Asia, and the Middle East, and we all together will do it. What happened with Taliban right now is at a blimp in the history of Afghanistan, and we hope that we can soon, together, return. Thank you very much.
We think differently.